When most people think of burnout, they imagine people who feel tired, maybe a little bit disengaged at work, or losing focus, and maybe a little bit of their excitement to go to work in the first place. But in reality, it can be much more serious than this. It can affect our physical, emotional, and mental well-being. And I know this because in 2018, that was me. My name is Andre Duckman, and for the last 20 years, I've worked in health and well-being. Firstly as an osteopath, and then as a craniosacral therapist, a mental health therapist, and a coach. And I really should have known better after working with so many people who were struggling in various parts of their lives, but for some reason I never thought it would happen to me. But there I was, running a very busy health clinic, working as an osteopath, and also running a quickly growing coaching practice that helped people with mental fitness. And yet the greatest irony of all was that I was starting to go off the rails myself. I worked long days with clients, then came home to write blog posts, sort out websites, and try to create an online business for myself. Yet the cracks were slowly starting to appear. I was less present with my family. I'd often get frustrated for no real reason. I was eating poorly, grabbing a snack between clients, and then later at night after working in the evenings, I'd drink a couple of glasses of red wine to relax and supposedly help me sleep, even though I knew that wasn't how alcohol and a good night's sleep went together. I started feeling disengaged in my work and losing focus, becoming less present with my clients. And one day, to my eternal great shame, I remember saying to a patient who came in to see me, "Please telling me that you're not coming in with back pain," and then making a joke of it. But in reality, I was completely disengaged from the work I was doing. Looking back now, I realise these are signs of burnout. I work with clients and leaders in organisations who struggle with all of these things, and yet all those years ago, I just didn't recognise the signs in myself. So returning to my story, it all came to a head one day when, after a busy client morning, I went to see my personal trainer. I was desperately trying to get fit at the time. I was probably 20 pounds overweight and really trying to get some of that weight off. The session we did was high impact, lots of running up and down flights of granite stairs outside. And at the end of the session, something just didn't feel quite right. My wife was away on business at the time, so I had to pick my daughter up from school. But by evening, I knew that something was wrong. I wasn't in pain, but my heart had been acting a little bit strangely all day since my training session. So when my wife returned home at 8 o'clock that night, I told her I needed to go to A&E just to rule anything out. To cut a long story short, while at A&E after the initial tests all came back negative, a blood test showed that I had had a mild cardiac incident in my gym session. And 2 weeks later, I ended up having a cardiac procedure to help with a blockage in an artery. The strange thing was that I was 48 years old, the very same age that my father, who had been a physiotherapist, had had his own cardiac incident. He had ended up having a triple heart bypass and never got back to his full peak fitness and never really worked again. I was determined that this would not happen to me. So for the next few months and years, I delved deeply into peak performance, mental well-being, emotional processing, positive psychology, and neuroscience. I made discoveries that helped me to recover, to get fitter, to be more present for my family, and to work and rest in natural cycles for my body and brain to recover. I really started to find my life again. And since that time in 2018, life has come full circle. I'm 2 stone lighter now, so much healthier, exercising regularly, and feeling much more present and connected with my wife and my daughter. Life is completely different from where I found myself back in 2018. All the work I did over the past few years to get myself back on track has now been really helpful for other people who have been struggling. For the past 3 years, I've worked with leaders and executives who want to perform at their best and feel at their best without burning out. I've created a methodology called the 3 Brain Protocol, which helps people balance the 3 brains, the 3 neural systems that I talk about, that I refer to as the survival brain, the feeling brain, and the thinking brain. In my time of struggle, I discovered that I was not actually taking action and changing the behaviours that would help me live a healthy and resilient life. I was stressed, working long hours, ignoring the signs my body was giving me, often feeling overwhelmed and frustrated, sometimes angry, and I was losing a sense of meaning in my life. Brain fog was a constant companion, as were low energy levels. These are all signs that each of my 3 brains, which are really these whole body neural centres rather than areas of the brain itself, but each one was out of sync and out of balance with the rest. Now they relate to our levels of physical, emotional and mental energy, from the physical sensations we have, through to the emotions we feel and the thoughts we have. And at a much more profound level, our thoughts, feelings and actions are intimately related together. When we're stressed, our survival brain takes control, flooding our system with stress hormones and causing us to feel emotions such as anxiety or frustration, which in turn makes it harder for our thinking brain to function clearly. And when this happens, we take action that often moves us further away from our goals rather than towards them. This is why we can't think straight when we're overwhelmed. Our brain is literally prioritising survival over clear thinking. It's like having 3 different orchestras playing at once: the survival brain, the feeling brain, and the thinking brain ensembles. But when they're not in harmony, everything feels chaotic and overwhelming. But when we learn to balance these systems, listen to our body's signals, and process our emotions effectively, we can engage our thinking brain at the right moments, and we can create a natural flow that supports both performance and well-being. We learn to take powerful, life-affirming actions that create rich and rewarding experiences. Now, this isn't just theory, it's literally how we're wired as human beings. But sadly, a lot of leaders just don't recognise this fact, or they're too overwhelmed or time poor to even take time to reflect. That was certainly my experience. Burnout creeps up on you, and if you're not careful, it can affect every aspect of your life, from health to happiness to family connection. I made so many mistakes in my own battle with burnout, and I really don't want anyone else to have to suffer as I did. Well, you know what might help you right now? I've created this thing called the Leadership Rewired Quiz. It's quick, just 20 questions, 5 minutes of your time, but here's what's really cool about it. It will show you exactly how your survival brain, your feeling brain, and your thinking brain are handling everything that life is throwing at you right now. And the best part, you don't just get a score back from this process, you get real practical steps that you can take right away to start feeling better and performing better and reversing any burnout you might be feeling. Because remember, this isn't just about you surviving your working life, it's about building a thriving work and personal life. So why not take the quiz right now? You can find it in the link below. I'd love to help you get started on your journey to leading at your best without burning out like I did. Thanks a lot for listening. Take care.